On March 27, 1977, two fully loaded Boeing 747s, the largest passenger planes at the time, collided on the runway of a small airport on the Canary Islands. 583 people died. To this day, it remains the deadliest aviation accident in history. But how did it happen? Was it a mechanical failure, bad weather, or a tragic series of human errors? In this video, we'll break down the full story behind the Tenerife Airport disaster, moment by moment. Our story starts at Gran Canaria Airport. Terrorists have just bombed a plane, killing everyone on board. Multiple planes are diverted to Tenerife, including two massive 747s, KLM Flight 4805 and Pan Am Flight 1736. Tenerife was unequipped for heavy traffic. On top of that, thick fog rolled in, reducing visibility to just a few hundred feet. The control tower couldn't see anything, nor could the pilots of the two 747s. At 5:06 p.m., the KLM crew reported they were at takeoff. That should have alerted the controller that the KLM plane was potentially taking off soon. But due to the high workload and ongoing diversions from other planes, the controller didn't realize this. He assumed the KLM crew were simply providing an update. The KLM captain then requested and received clearance to take off. But Pan Am was still on the runway. They were instructed to taxi to the end and exit via turn-off. Gusts of the fog, they were moving slowly. By 5:24, the KLM crew saw the Pan Am plane ahead of them and assumed they must be cleared to take off. They set the plane to take off power, expecting to lift off any second. The controller had just instructed the Pan Am crew to turn onto the taxiway. The KLM crew misinterpreted the controller's instructions and believed they were being cleared to take off. At 5:25, with the Pan Am still directly in their path, the KLM captain began the takeoff roll. In the cockpit, the KLM first officer called out too close. The KLM plane scraped over the top of the Pan Am, ripping off its left wing and fuselage. The Pan Am exploded. Fuel from the ruptured tanks ignited, causing the KLM to catch fire. The burning 747 skidded across the tarmac, crashing back to the ground. When the dust settled, only 61 people were alive. Most of the survivors were on the Pan Am plane, particularly those in the front section. Of the 248 passengers and 10 crew members aboard the KLM flight, only 5 survived. Among the dead were entire families, honeymooners, and tourists who had yet to start their trip. It took some survivors hours to realize what had happened. The airport had no fire trucks capable of tackling a disaster of this size. A military fire truck arrived first, followed by local police. Survivors described scenes of absolute havoc. People covered in blood, severed limbs, and luggage strewn across the tarmac. Those who had survived the initial impact were now battling for their lives against the raging fire. Following the crash, investigators worked tirelessly to piece together what went wrong. Their findings revealed a chilling reality. There was no mechanical failure. This wasn't a case of faulty equipment or bad weather. This was a case of miscommunication, misunderstanding, and human error. But what went so wrong? Well, for starters, the controller assumed the KLM crew were giving an update, not a readiness declaration. Additionally, the KLM crew misinterpreted the controller's instructions. After receiving the takeoff clearance, they assumed they were ready to go without double-checking. Plus, neither pilot had flown a 747 before. The most experienced 747 pilot in the world at that time, the KLM captain, was overly confident. He was a legend at KLM, having trained hundreds of pilots himself. He knew the procedures, the safety margins, the limitations of the plane, and perhaps this confidence blinded him to the potential danger. Nonetheless, that day at Tenerife, the crew failed to follow basic procedures. They took off with the landing gear still extended, ripping through the Pan Am like a hot knife through butter. How could something like this happen today? Well, despite the tragedy, Tenerife led to positive change. New international standards for aviation language were put in place. The incorrect use of the word takeoff saved countless lives in the future. Cockpit culture was re-evaluated, empowering lower-ranking pilots to speak up and challenge their superiors. And the incident led to the creation of the Crew Resource Management System, which ensured pilots of all ranks were trained to work together more effectively. The Tenerife disaster became a case study in aviation, not because of mechanical failure, but because it proved one thing: the most dangerous part of flying is when humans stop communicating. From the ashes of Tenerife came better rules, training, and stricter communication. This was a pivotal moment in aviation history, a dark chapter that ended up saving millions of lives. Do you know about other major disasters like this one? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel for more historical tales. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and keep learning.